Welcome to the Power of Lifting podcast. I'm EricCafferty, owner of the Mecca Gym. I am a strength and conditioning coach and a contest prep specialist. The focus of this podcast is to dive into the mindset and the drive of people who have done incredible things with their lives. Welcome to the Power of Lifting podcast. I just like a big welcome. How did I do?
I think it was pretty good. I mean,
right.
our sound looks phenomenal.
So yeah, oh perfect.
The sound bar.
So yes, today, we're here with, of course, co-host Hunter Dennis, and then we have of course, special guests. Of course, all of our guests are special.
That's right.
But I think Garrett might actually be the biggest man we've had on the podcast.
Well, I think that's the thing. Like, typically you put people back in the corner and they're out
you
angled,
can't tell.
but not
So
anymore.
I insist on taking this chair, and I just keep scooting closer to the camera. So we put all the big guys in the back. But anyway, this is our trainer and friend, Garret Ussery, and he is a stud bodybuilder. Won the 2016
Muscle Classic,
Idaho Muscle Classic, men's bodybuilding overall. And yeah, that's kind of you were like deep in prep when I actually met you for that show.
Yeah, that's when I first started coming here, actually.
Yep. So yeah, I met Garrett, and he was like repping out 500 pounds in the squat rack, and I was like, oh man, this guy's big and he's strong. All right, this is cool.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, exactly.
Those were the good days.
the good old days. Yeah. So yeah, you went on to win that show, and yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself. What are you famous for? Let's ask you that.
I don't know if I'm famous for anything, but I am one of the bigger people at the gym. I currently weigh about 265, so a little bit bigger. I did win the 2016 Muscle Classic overall. I'm also an EMT full-time right now, as well as a trainer. And I actually work as an EMT in the prison system, so that's also very interesting.
Super excited. You get to see all the fun stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely a little different than your public.
So while we're on topic of the prison, so what's the craziest thing you've seen in the prison?
Ooh, crazy in what sense?
I mean, you pick.
The one that weirded you out the most. Like, I can't believe I'm in this situation.
What scarred you the most?
What keeps you up at
Oh
night?
man. So there's two different kinds of crazy in the prison. Like the kind that makes you like, wow, I can't believe that happened, and then you're like, wow, I kind of wish I didn't see that.
Oh no.
So I mean, I've seen people like come back from surgeries and like dig stuff out of their stomach because they're just mentally not there. I've seen people get beaten up for 20 minutes. I mean, I deal with a lot of drunk people.
Sure.
Because then, they make their own alcohol and then get wasted. Then we had, I think the news is calling it a small disturbance a couple months ago, which was a little bit more than a disturbance, but that was pretty crazy. Kind of some inmates took over a part of the prison for a minute.
That would be considered small disturbance.
Yeah, that would be epic.
I want to know what the news would call a large disturbance at that point.
Some people could call it a riot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you have to suit up and go in?
Luckily, that was the day before my week started. So I walked into the aftermath of it, which was fine.
Is fine.
I would rather, I don't know. Some people, you show up to work and like, oh man, you missed this. I'm like, I'm glad I missed that.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with that.
Just put it on the TV. Let me watch.
Pretty much, which we did get to watch it. It was interesting.
Yeah, very
Was
interesting.
it planned then?
No.
Okay.
It wasn't. But it did involve drunk people. A bunch of people got drunk and took over a little spot.
Crazy. Yeah, so what's the COVID situation looking like in the prison right now?
So I actually work at what is called the COVID prison.
Oh, yeah. COVID prison. There you go.
So there's 5 prisons out where I am.
Uh-huh.
And then we have a couple others around Idaho.
Uh-huh.
So if any inmate gets COVID, tested positive, they get shipped to my prison.
Oh, that's fun.
Okay.
To quarantine there. So we had a pretty big lull in cases for a long time, about 6 months, and then recently it's kicked back up. So now we have about probably 60 people that are quarantined right now, which, I mean, we haven't had anyone since the very beginning have extreme symptoms, because I have to go check on them every day, and usually they're just like, I'm fine, when am I off quarantine?
So they essentially just quarantining in isolation
in a cell, for
14
14 days.
Oof. Okay. Don't want to go to COVID prison.
No,
I guess
it's probably about the size of this room,
if
not a slightly smaller.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
With another person for 2 weeks.
Oh, they get a buddy.
Get a roommate.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah.
They get a COVID buddy.
COVID buddies.
Hunter, would you be my COVID buddy?
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
If only we were in a room this size or a little bit smaller.
Could you survive 2 weeks like that?
With
Eric, maybe.
With your sink and toilet. I mean, we'd find a way to get entertained. I mean, let's be honest.
Make our own.
They do get TVs inside.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Most of them just chill.
Yeah. Doesn't sound that bad anymore.
So no crazy deaths or anything like that? Oh, that's good.
No, I mean, I think we've had a couple inmates pass away from something else, but it was actually ruled COVID.
Oh, wonderful.
So
yeah,
it's pretty interesting.
Hopefully that doesn't happen everywhere else in this country or the world right now. But something tells you that you can't trust a lot of that data. I'm just saying.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. That's for sure.
So the prison route, that's pretty wild though. So what took you to the prison? Did you get your EMT license and then you said, I'm going to go wherever they can take me, and I ended up in prison, or did you decide I'm going to prison?
So I got my EMT license to actually become a firefighter, which just never really panned out for me. So I got my license, and then I didn't really want to work on an ambulance because I never really wanted to be an EMT. I only got it for fire.
Oh, okay.
And at the time I was connected to someone else who was working at the prison, and they were like, well, why don't you just come work here? And I was like, I mean, I guess I will. And they're like, oh, you also get paid way more than if you were an EMT on the streets. And I'm like, done. I get to make more money. And it's super nice. EMTs on the streets, if something messy happens in the back of the ambulance, you have to clean it up. We have inmate janitors that come and clean all that up. So I don't really have to do anything except actual medical treatment.
Okay.
So it's a pretty sweet gig for the most part.
Yeah.
I can't complain.
Not bad, except for being in prison.
Except being inside of a concrete building for 12 hours.
Yeah, that's not ideal. So how have you been able to keep up with bodybuilding? How have you kept up with bodybuilding for the last several years here? I know that it's been 5 years. 5 years and change since the stage. So, tell us a little bit about what the journey has looked like and where it's headed.
So I think you actually know about it. After I competed in 2016, about a month after my show, I got really sick. I was dropping weight like crazy. I weighed in at my show at 224, and a month of being sick, I was down to 210. So I eventually went to the doctor because anything I ate just went right through me, and I was so tired, couldn't function. So I ended up going to the ER because I was just I don't know what's going on with me. And then they're like, well, yeah, you have something going on with you.
Yeah.
You need to go see a gastroenterologist. I was like, okay. So I went and saw them, got a colonoscopy, which was an experience.
Everyone has their colonoscopy stories.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Mine wasn't that bad, but
that's good.
But so they actually said that I had ulcers in my lower intestines. So they were like, you have ulcerative colitis.
Oh.
And I was like, well, that's not what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
So that actually took me away from bodybuilding, and that's why I got my EMT license. Because I was just like, I don't think I can compete anymore.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't willing to go through a prep and then right before the show day have a flare-up or something, and then basically waste 4 months.
Right.
So it kind of took me away from bodybuilding. I was like, I got to do something else now. But they put me on autoimmune suppressants, and I felt worse taking them. So then I took myself off of them, which I don't recommend people go against their doctors. But I did, and I felt better, and I never had, even to this day, a flare-up. And so I've argued with my gastroenterologist, and basically it's just like, dude, I don't feel like I have this. I've talked to people who have ulcerative colitis, and I don't relate to anything that they do.
None of the symptoms or anything like that. Yeah.
So I think me and my coach have talked about it because he has ulcerative colitis, and he thinks I just pushed my body so far and didn't give it a break after competing that my immune system just temporarily flipped on me.
Yeah.
So as long as I manage stress next time, I should be fine.
Yeah, because ulcers and things like that, they're highly stress related. So, I mean, that makes sense.
So did that really piss you off, though? Like, crushing it in a show, and then that happens, and then, like, okay, well, now I don't want to compete anymore. So that whole part of your life was like, okay, maybe it's in the past now.
I had a loss of identity for a while.
Yeah.
Like, I just felt lost. I didn't really want to go to the gym anymore. I actually you put me on a deadlift program because I was thinking about doing powerlifting, and that was not my jam. I am not a powerlifter.
Nope.
But yeah, it was really hard for me because when I won the 2016 Muscle Classic, the next year, 2 of the guys that I beat turned pro.
Yep.
So I was like right there. So that was definitely hard. And then you have that worry in the back of your head. You're like, I'm never going to get back to where I was. I'm never going to like come back to how good I was at one point. But then, so I did the EMT thing for a while. I always still trained like a bodybuilder. I always ate like a bodybuilder. People at the prison always make fun of me because I bring so many meals every day. Like, there's never a day.
This is true. This is very true. Yeah.
They have to search your bag every day when you go in. So every day they see my 4 meals I take with me for my 12 hours. And it's just like, there's not a day I don't show up without those. So I stayed consistently in the gym, eating, all of that, because that's just a lifestyle.
Yeah, Garrett is very much so regimented with nutrition, which brings up the rice topic. Earlier, he's heating up the rice back there, and I'm like, oh man. And I'm like, oh, that looks really good, because I've actually had his white rice, and this man is like a white rice cooking aficionado.
Yeah,
like,
nice.
Rice is like such a texture and consistency thing, and it can't be too dry, because then it's too hard, and it's like it's not good. It's like almost like, floury. Yeah. And then if it's too wet,
it's just soup.
It's just it's just
doesn't cook all the way
soupy,
either.
and it feels like you're eating like mashed potatoes or something like that. That's just gross.
If I want to eat mashed potatoes, I'm going to eat mashed potatoes.
So there's like this spectrum, and like, I don't know, whatever he does, man, it's the right amount of sticky and the right like.
Well, you got to get the right rice first.
Right. Okay. So tell us your secrets.
So I switched between jasmine rice and Cal Rose rice, which Cal Rose is like a sticky sushi rice. Yeah. But I cook rice so often I measure how much rice I put into my I use an Instapot cooker. Right. But I don't measure my water. And
wow.
Here's the thing that, like,
I've cooked a lot of rice, bro, and I always had to measure the water.
Right. That's the scary part.
Most people don't, like, I've talked to so many people, they don't wash their rice.
Oh, you gotta rinse it.
No, like, people are just like, oh, they just dump water in, which I used to do that back in the day until I learned, like, you should rinse your rice.
Right, that's not the way.
But no, I just, like, I rinse it, and then I just fill up to about where it should be.
Done deal.
Done. But I mean, I cook 3 cups of rice every day.
Oh, you cook it. Well, so that's the other thing too about this man that I respect is like there is effort. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna cook 12 cups for the next 4 days. It's no, I'm cooking.
It's every day.
Yeah, and rice is so much better when it's fresh.
Yeah. I don't know the science behind it, but my coach was telling me, basically, like, if you leave rice in the fridge, it becomes hard, right?
Yeah.
And he says it's like it becomes a resistant starch, so it actually is harder for your body to break down and causes more GI stress. So he was like, you need to cook your rice every day.
Yeah, I can't remember what causes the change in that, but I mean, same thing with like it's not the same thing, but it's similar to how I think about like when your banana is getting ripe, it's like getting more and more sugary.
Yep. You know? Changes like the chemical structure of it a little bit.
Yeah, carbs are not necessarily like set in stone, right? They can kind of
Yep. So I cook rice every day.
But there's no secret ingredient. You're not like adding a little scoop of something in there when you cook it.
Oh, man, I mean, I've tried to create like the Chipotle cilantro rice.
That's good.
They have a powder that they put in there, and I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like plain, like I just like the taste of like plain rice. Like if it's really well cooked, like I don't like soy sauce on it, nothing. And brown rice, let's just get that off the table right now. Brown rice is disgusting.
It's awful.
Just awful.
It's unfortunate.
I mean, there's can be cases where it's cooked right and it's like okay, but compared to white rice, it's trash. And people always were having the brown rice argument. Oh, blah blah blah. Brown rice is healthier. It's a more complex carb. That's BS.
Yep.
It's BS, man.
Write
it's
that down,
actually
folks.
harder for your body to digest, which you probably know. So, like those of you that have GI issues, you're gonna have a harder time digesting.
I could not
rice.
imagine eating 3 cups of brown rice, dry rice, every day. Like I would. It's too chewy.
I mean, I could do it. I could eat pretty much anything.
It is very chewy.
But I would rather white rice.
Oh, yeah.
Let's
hands
be
down.
honest. Oh, hands down.
Isn't
white
it typically
rice.
like cheaper and easier to get a hold of? And all
I
that
mean,
jazz?
are you a Costco rice guy or?
Oh man, they've changed names so often now. It used to be Cash and Carry back in the day. Now it's like Smart Food Services or
I think
something
so.
like that.
Okay.
They've rebranded.
That's where I go to get my rice because I can buy like 50 pounds of jasmine rice for $26.
Yeah, so that's a hack right there. So let's talk about a little bit. So Garrett's, as he mentioned, the very, very much so passionate about bodybuilding lifestyle, and what it takes to get big. I've talked about this on the podcast before, but it's something that a lot of guys probably ask Garrett. A lot of guys used to ask me, especially when I worked at the supplement store. I've told these stories on here before, but people are always, how do I get big? How do I get big? And it's like, well,
I want to be like you.
You got to eat. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure he gets that all the time. You got to eat like it's your job. That's what it comes down to. So what are some of your hacks for that? What are some of the advice that you can give people for that?
For gaining weight?
Gaining weight, putting on mass the right way.
So one, I mean, it does take more work, but the more fresh your food is, the easier it is to eat.
Absolutely.
Okay. Which attributes to more work, though.
Yes.
It is more work, but it's less misery eating.
Nice. So in the long run,
we're talking to guys that are like having a hard time getting enough calories. Right?
My first meal every day, and some people like just can't put this like past their head, is a shake. But I'll blend instant oatmeal, protein powder, and almond butter together.
Oh, it's
and
delicious.
You can get that down quick and easy.
That's delicious.
Plus, it digests really well.
Yeah, it's yummy too.
It's pre-digested. You
Pretty
blend
much.
it. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
So I do that every morning.
Oh yeah.
Mostly because when I work at the prison, I have to be there at 6 a.m. I'm not going to get up and cook a meal.
But listen to that carefully, right? He has a good quality protein powder, not trash. He's adding a complex carb, oatmeal with some fiber, some other nutrient value, and some healthy fats with, of course, some protein and carbs in the almond butter. He's not taking a freaking serious mass garbage scoop and tossing it down. That is a great way to get constipated, number one.
And a gut bomb.
And a gut bomb, number two. You're not going to be able to eat as much the rest of the day because it just digests like crap. And on that topic, for digesting a lot of food, take digestive enzymes.
Go.
Shameless plug breakdown.
Shameless plug breakdown. Asset.
Go on the website.
There we go.
But anyway, okay. First meal shake. We've got the oatmeal, protein powder, almond butter.
There's actually a meal I'm pretty famous for nowadays.
Oh, good. Let's hear it.
Egg bagel sandwiches.
Oh yeah.
I usually eat 2 of those every day. Because each one is about 500 calories, and so I need about 1,000 calories per meal.
Okay.
So I make 2 of those every day.
Oh, fresh.
Yep.
Okay.
So pretty easy.
Are you
The pictures you're posting on the gram make it
Yep.
look delicious.
Oh, I haven't seen these.
Oh,
man.
Just he
man.
posts on the story. He's very sly about it. He posted on the story just like, I'm having my egg sandwiches. It's like, you son of a gun, I want one.
I need to gram it a little bit more. So what kind of bagels are you doing?
So I get Bubba's bagels.
Ooh, Bubba's bagels.
They're soft. Some of the other brands. What's one of like the main? Thomas bagels or something.
Yeah. Bagels is too hard, man.
Those are hard. Like the Bubba's bagels are soft.
Okay, that's a good hack because I'm not a bagel guy because it takes me 5 hours to eat a bagel. I'm like, it's like dry.
It feels real.
Yeah.
There's another hack to that too that I'll get to.
Okay.
So the way I set it up, 2 bagels, 4 eggs.
Okay.
And then deli meat of your choice.
Okay.
With a slice of cheese. And obviously you have to have your yolks runny.
Obviously.
Because who likes dry, hard egg yolks?
No, it's got to make it moist.
Yep. Moist. Yeah. How many people are you going to trigger with that word?
Moist. Egg.
But
Moist
it's
runny
true.
egg yolks. Absolutely. Like it's gotta add to the Okay.
And then hot sauce of choice.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
People think this is weird, but I mix ketchup with hot sauce on it.
Oh yeah. No,
it's just my thing.
That's great.
So I get the bagel, and then I have my deli meat and cheese. And before I put the eggs on there, I microwave it for about 50 seconds.
50.
Oh,
yep.
Wow.
Because then it softens the bagel more.
Yeah.
And then you put the eggs on, and then you're ready to eat it.
Okay. So you eat those fresh right when you make them. You're not taking these places. Okay, yeah. Because if you let the bagel cool down after microwaving it, then it gets ultra cardboardy. Then that's a done deal.
So I'm not eating.
Yeah.
So the shake and those egg bagel sandwiches, because you can change the flavor of them so easy. Different deli meats, different cheese, different sauces.
Different bagel.
Different bagel.
Do you ever get like the fresh like Blue Sky bagels or anything like that?
I should though. I know you've had that a couple times.
Yeah, my wife had an obsession with Blue Sky bagels for a time. It's like pretty close to my house. Yeah, dude, always over there. It was actually pre-COVID. I think COVID kind of got us off the wagon there. COVID's ruined a lot of things. Bagel sandwiches being one.
Bagel sandwiches being one. Those dirty bastard.
Yeah, but yeah, she was super into that, and I think they're delicious. The
easy
getting the herb, bagel with more of a savory type bagel, and then when you're a fat kid eating a lot of calories like I can be sometimes, then you get one of the bagel sandwiches, you throw extra egg on there, extra bacon,
good gracious,
and make it a savory, and then you get one that's just a bagel and cream cheese for your carbs and fats. Oh, it's great. So those are what your first 2 meals are looking like. So what does your diet look like the rest of the day, and then how would you kind of relate this to maybe how you would have a client or just recommend somebody eat?
That's hard because I'm just not like most people. I will eat either chicken and rice or turkey and rice the rest of the day.
Okay.
They're large portions, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
It's super boring, but the only other thing that I do that helps is on my chicken and rice meals, after I put it in the container measured out and everything, I'll drizzle like some sort of olive oil on it for my healthy fats and to kind of create a little moisture with it.
That's that, and then you pack it up and you take it, and then does it help with the reheating of the rice?
Yeah, and you can actually get flavored olive oils.
Oh yeah, they're delicious.
They're delicious.
And that's a little hack.
Yeah, flavored olive oil. Yeah, that kind of completes the trifecta of the carbs, proteins, and fats too. So, what are your calories add up to right now?
I am 5,000 plus. So I have to get a minimum of 5,000, but anything extra is extra credit.
Is extra
if I can fit it in. About 2 to 3 days a week, I'll eat 4 meals because I eat 5 total meals a day right now. So I'll eat 4 of my meals, and then at night I'll get some sort of healthier type of cheat meal, you could say. So either I'm getting like Chipotle, like a burrito, chips and salsa, or Texas Roadhouse.
Oh yeah. All the rolls.
I've crushed some of those.
Those rolls.
Yeah, dude.
So yeah, I'll do that, and that will boost up my calories. And it's easier to eat because one, you're not making it, so it automatically tastes better.
It's fresh.
It's fresh, different than your normal food.
Right.
So that's helped me actually recently push my weight higher.
Bro, we need to start hanging out more. I'll show you how to eat.
There we go.
I need it, man. Eating. If I was hungry, which I haven't been hungry really in 2 years, I would be much bigger. But there's times where I'm just like, I don't feel like eating today.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting how you have there's a whole genre of bodybuilding motivational videos which is about eating.
Oh yeah.
Well, the
Like,
thing
it's
is, like,
part of
it's
it.
so funny because most people here, you know, they're always like complaining about not eating. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, Ryan, we're gonna throw you under the bus. Ryan right now, just struggling on no calories. Rightfully so. He's getting quite lean. So
yes,
it's worth the struggle, but. You know, and then you've got Garrett that's, you know, like, I haven't been hungry in 2 years.
I can't wait to starve.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and I were talking about that yesterday, actually.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, which actually, you know, there's a lot of, you know, good things that come out of purposefully putting you in a caloric deficit and actually actively trying to get leaner for a period of time, because it will reawaken those hunger cues.
Oh, for sure.
Like a bat out of hell, and it'll actually allow for a little bit of super compensation, you know. And I kind of, you know, it happens every time you kind of go through a cut and then reverse diet. It like kind of, you know, you're after a while of just eating a bunch and, you know, living, and it just kind of, you just kind of lose your appetite a little bit. So like last spring, before I started really dieting, I can always eat a ton, but like I wasn't ever really thinking about food. Like I would miss more meals than I should. And I'd make up for them later, of course, but then it throws my digestive system off, and I'm kind of a picky little princess when it comes to that. So, you know, kind of nice to then go into a deficit for a while, and it's like, oh man, that hunger gets switched on, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm not missing a meal right now at all, right? Because you're hungry. And then switching out of that into a reverse dieting setting, and those of you that have, you know, done some sort of deficit or cut and then reverse dieted, or I mean, not necessarily even a reverse diet, but started gradually increasing your calories, which is all a reverse diet really is. You know, you're not going to go from eating, you know, 1,800 calories to 5,000 calories right away. You're going to really feel like crap if you do that.
I feel like you wouldn't be able to.
Well, you
struggle.
You definitely could, but you'd definitely be disappointed in the result.
And uncomfortable.
And uncomfortable.
Well, I feel like you at the point, like you would do it, but then
your body would not know how to process that.
Eric and I have both probably done that post show before.
It's bad.
I've gained 30 pounds in 2 weeks before, and it is not comfortable.
Fun fact: I gained 30 pounds in 24 hours once. It was rough.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
the water retention.
Oh, dude, edema. Like you can't see your ankles for a week. It's horrible. That was early days before I really knew any better. But back to my point, you go through a deficit and then you start slowly eating a bit more, and you actually get way more hungry when you start eating more and more. And like the phase I'm at now currently with my nutrition is my body weight is back. I'm probably about 5 pounds shy of my highest weight this spring. But I am like 10 times more hungry than I was when I was like at this body weight on the way down. And on the way down I was reducing calories, and now I'm increasing. So it's like your body has a lot of systems and enzymes in place that, you know, basically it's like they change shape and upregulate, and they're more efficient, and they, you know, your hunger cues kind of get reawoken, your, you know, your leptin levels, ghrelin levels, things like that. They're all modulated depending on kind of what way you have been swinging. And for me, it's kind of annoying because I don't have an issue eating enough. And so I'm like, dude, when is this hunger going to go away? I'm like always hungry right now. Just like I was, like if I was dieting. So I mean, something that people can try. But you know, the same thing for like, so we bring Ryan up. Ryan had gut health issues forever, you know, kind of all kinds of different things going on. But you know, we got him kind of on a digestive health regimen with another client of mine that kind of specializes in that, and taking some supplements to help, and just trying different things, mainly because, you know, you can't really go to a gastro doc to,
they don't get it.
They don't really, right? And so a caloric deficit has actually helped him more than anything in his life. He's, digestively speaking, the healthiest he's ever been, not getting bloated after meals and all that stuff. So like there's definitely something to be said about you know, an increase or decrease in your overall caloric intake in order to kind of change your internal digestive environment and stuff like that. So, but anyway, yeah, I mean, hunger is it's a really fun topic, especially around here when you have people competing and people bulking, and it's at the same time, and hopefully you're not living in the same house.
Oh, man.
Hopefully not.
Like poor pregnant Laura and competing Zach. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
Like, it's a good thing he got
heard
that
some
over
funny
with.
Stories about that.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
He was living vicariously through her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, back on topic. So what advice would you give people that are trying to bulk up and they're kind of struggling to bulk up?
I mean, so you want to look at what meals your body digests well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't digest really fatty meals well.
Mm-hmm.
If I eat just chicken and rice, like I will digest through that like no problem.
Mm-hmm.
If I have like a really fatty steak, that's gonna put me like in a coma for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's finding what foods work well for you,
Mm-hmm.
and also timing. I mean, some people are more hungry in the morning, some people are more hungry at night. Like you got to
Mm-hmm.
figure out kind of what hacks you can do for your body. For me, the earlier I start eating, the better I am.
Oh yeah.
I can space my meals out a little bit more, and that's why I do that shake first thing, because you don't have to be hungry to drink a shake.
No.
Like you can drink a shake any time of day.
Yes.
So first thing, drinking my shake, and that way I can wait a couple hours, eat my next meal, and that actually keeps me hungry when I start earlier. If I like put it off a couple hours and then I drink my shake and then I have a meal, I have to eat a meal in an hour and a half to get back on schedule, and then I'm wrecked for the rest of the day. And then I'm just like not looking forward to eating at all. And then it's also just finding what you feel is palatable. Like you can't be forced to eat things you don't enjoy eating. Me, I don't eat fish. My last competition prep, didn't eat one fish meal.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like it.
Yeah, if
Not
I'm
gonna
eating
do it.
fish, salmon is going to be it.
That would be the number.
But close to a show, you can't do that typically.
No, God, no.
Uh,
I do
not
not.
Eric's.
I do not have the fats for that.
Right.
Close to show.
So then you're eating like a cod or a tilapia.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And I
I
just
don't mind a good tilapia.
nope, dude. I mean, I eat that 3 times a day for like 2 months. One time.
Well, that's
Yeah.
a lot.
I
That's
can't do
granted.
it.
That's a lot.
Can't do it anymore, man.
Yeah,
That's
I
fair.
mean, unless it's like a trout I caught myself. Truth be told, I had a really bad experience on tilapia once, and on it like it's a drug. But yeah, it was that horrific, like stuck in my mind. I was renting this house. This is before I met my wife, and my sister had, God bless her, sent me some hot sauce. She had been down to,
Oh man.
I think she had gone down to like Chile or something, like somewhere cool in South America. God bless my sister Jolene. She's a sweetheart. Always looking out for her younger brother. Sends me this delicious hot sauce because I like hot stuff. You know,
Yeah.
really nice of her. And so I'd gone to Costco that day. I make this tilapia. I fry it up on the stove, you know, whatever. Like, I was hungry at the time, right? I was prepping for a show. So I, like, took my time making this fish. I made some, I think I, like, fried up some spinach to go with it, like, super low calorie, right? And then I'm like, I got this hot sauce. Habanero hot sauce.
Oof.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Habanero makes me crazy.
And I used, like, dude, probably a solid quarter to third of the bottle on there. It was just so good. And hot sauce is super low in calories. Like,
Yeah.
even at that amount, like, you're getting, like, maybe, you know, 5 carbs or something like that. So whatever, right?
Right, put it all
And
on.
oh, dude, it was so good. And I was just like, oh, this hot sauce is the best, you know? And I had, like, probably 9 ounces of fish with it. And I'm like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
Well, at the time, I was getting up. I was in school. So I'd get up around, I don't know, probably like 6 or so and go to the gym and hit cardio. I'd do like some mildly fasted, probably cardio just before school, just to wake up, you know. Dude, I missed my cardio the next morning, and I like when I'm set on stuff, like I do not miss. And I literally woke up at like 4 in the morning like somebody had stabbed me in the stomach.
Oh, gosh.
It was so horrific, dude. And then just stuck on the toilet until I was literally on the can until like noon. It was literally awful. Like I'm like
terrible.
No joke, like calling somebody, probably my mom, like
Mommy,
like should I be worried? Can you ask one of the docs?
Yeah.
Should I be worried? Ask somebody that knows. Like I feel like I'm dying from the inside. Like, could this be potentially like really harmful? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so ever since then, dude, I cannot do tilapia.
So would you rather have that meal again or do the 1 chip challenge again?
1 chip challenge.
Easy.
For sure, dude. The 1 chip challenge was way worse going down.
Yeah.
But next to nothing coming out.
Right. Okay.
That hot sauce was way more pleasurable going down, but it was like the worst thing in the world. And so when we were doing the 1 chip challenge, go back and watch that clip, everybody. It's horrible. When we were doing the 1 chip challenge, literally the whole time, aside from laughing my butt off at Hunter, all I could think about is that is what I was going to have to deal with later.
Yeah.
And so I was like
PTSD
horrified.
Yeah.
Because like the chip was bad, but what I thought was going to happen later had me scared. like I'm going to be so messed up later.
Yeah. That's
and
funny.
thank the Lord, like, you know, it was not even close to that.
Yeah,
It was just hot as hell going
That's
down.
wild.
But coming out was easy.
That looked miserable.
Do you do hot stuff, Garrett?
I
do.
do.
You like hot stuff?
I like to still be able to taste, so I would not do the 1 chip challenge.
Yeah, that's next level. Yeah.
I like mildly spicy things.
Okay, right on. That's got the good flavor.
Yes,
I mean, Eric had some spice with some good flavor, but it ended up wrecking it.
that's true.
I mean, yeah, it's...
You never know. You never know.
But you said fasted cardio, and that's actually something else that can help people gain weight, actually.
Mm-hmm.
If you are like stuck at a bulking phase and you can't gain weight and you can't eat, actually adding in a little bit of cardio will help process things faster.
Oh, absolutely.
And a little bit, you're going to burn some calories, but you should be able to eat more calories than you're burning after.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So a little quick hack for you.
There we go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, if... anybody that's done, you know, you go on a long hike or you know, anything like that, you know right away, like, wow, I was like really hungry later in the day, or like on the days you do cardio, you're like, you know it, because the evening comes around, you're like, well, I am ravenous.
Still hungry.
Oh yeah,
Ravenous.
So yeah, that's great advice. So let's talk about this bodybuilding scene that's going on right now. We talk a little bit about bodybuilding on this podcast, obviously, but not a lot about what's actually going on in the IFBB Pro League of bodybuilding. You know, it's definitely something that I like to follow. You know, it's especially fun when Jay came to town, being able to kind of talk to him about the, you know, some of the up and comers and things like that. And the cool thing is I get to go to most of the national shows, just, you know, with having clients and competing at the national level. So I'll see a lot of the guys that, you know, are turning pro in bodybuilding, and classic physique is also a fun division for me to watch. But yeah, so tell us a little bit about this Arnold Classic that's coming up. I haven't been, I'm not gonna lie, I have not been the best follower of the the pro circuit lately, just because it's been kind of crazy with shows getting canceled and things like that. Embarrassingly enough, I actually have been paying a lot of attention to the pro bikini division, but
well,
it's neither here nor there.
Near nor there, but if you think about the clients,
side effects of the job, right?
Side effects of the job.
But yeah, tell us a little bit about what's going on in the pro league right now.
Do you have the full list on there?
I have the. So we're looking at the list.
I just want to make sure I don't forget someone.
With the Arnold Classic, and this article might be a little dated.
Okay.
I think this is fun too, because I don't know if Garrett remembers the first time I really remember. Like, so he was working here first time I kind of met you, we just started chatting and stuff. And obviously, I asked if you're a bodybuilder. I mean, it was a very obvious answer, but that was the icebreaker, right? And then we started talking, but then we just started chatting about this exact thing, like these people that are up there and stuff, which is cool because you like, even though you weren't necessarily prepping for a show at that point, obviously you still had that competitive edge. Like you could tell. It's just like if you're still into a sport. Like, I don't play basketball competitively anymore, but I'm still watching what LeBron's doing. I'm still watching what Giannis is doing. Like, you still have that passion for it, which is cool. So that was fun. So anyway, this will be a cool conversation again.
Yeah. So the top 5, in my opinion, this is a more updated list. Oh, Cedric's out? That's interesting. So Cedric Mcmillan, for you guys who don't know him,
he's kind of a taller guy, right?
Well, he's Arnold's, like, favorite bodybuilder.
Yeah.
He's so classic looking while being massive.
Yeah, I think because he's tall, isn't it?
Like, well, and just his proportions. He has a tiny waist, big muscle bellies. And I mean, I think he's still stepping on stage at like 280, 270.
He's got,
oh my gosh, these guys are so heavy.
Yeah,
he's a big dude. So yeah, we can throw a photo up of him, but
yeah. And then a couple other people can't compete because of COVID reasons. So that is definitely still messing up the whole industry. Travel restrictions, stuff like that. Our top 5, in my opinion, because I have been trying to follow them, is Ian Valliere, Nick Walker. Who else was on there? Let's see. Sergio Olivia Jr., which his dad was a 90s pro bodybuilder. And then you have Akeem Williams and Steve Kuklo. So, in my opinion, those will be the top 5. Ian Valliere just won his last 2 shows within the last month. So he's definitely a name that's being thrown out there that's going to win. But it's hard. A lot of these guys haven't stood next to each other before. It's a lot of new up-and-coming bodybuilders.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, like, these are the top 5 that are able to compete. Are these also your top 5? Like,
that's my top 5 prediction. Yes. Okay. There are other names in there. As far as like Max Charles, who's competed a couple times this year, Hussein Mustafa from Egypt. That guy is huge. He just never comes in lean enough, which is, you kind of need that balance between being huge and muscular, but also being shredded.
Right.
So he just hasn't quite been able to nail down that balance.
That lean part of it.
Yep.
That's fascinating. So these would be the top 5 prediction for the Arnold. When we're talking about all those people, including the people who aren't competing / can't compete in it, do those top 5s change for you? Who those people are?
Only one of them. Cedric is such a wild card because he also has the problem with coming in
a little bit too soft.
Too soft usually. But I mean, he's also like full time in the military. I don't know what branch he's in, but
I think.
Oh wow, really?
Air Force?
I think so.
I think he's Air Force. Yeah.
So like most of these pro bodybuilders, this is their job.
Right.
But Cedric still has a whole other full time job.
More of a recent.
Yes.
Yeah. So he got shredded, man.
Yeah. He got a new coach about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And has just been nailing things ever since.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So, and I'm not saying his old coach was bad, but you just have to find which coach works well with you.
Right.
And yeah, they've definitely put together some great packages.
Sweet. That's such a fascinating.
So Steve's been an IFBB pro winner several times. Just looking at some photos here, he's definitely got the shape. The right shape, the right size. I think, it'll be interesting to see how tight he can bring it in. I feel like that is one of the things, like, even it doesn't matter if it's, IFBB pro bodybuilding or amateur bodybuilding or natural bodybuilding or whatever. Doesn't matter. I feel like a lot of the guys that have the size and have the shape, they always struggle coming in hard.
Yep.
And then it's like the guys that lack size, it's like they always come in just
peeled,
hard as nails, And I don't know, man. It's like, you know, once you get that combination down, it's so hard to beat, but it's so rare. It's like, you know, Chris Bumstead. I mean, he's one of those guys that's both big and he's the leanest guy on stage. You know what I mean? But it's so rare for guys to be massive and also the most shredded.
Well, I mean, that's why you had Phil Heath, you know, like
Phil Heath for years, you know, he just couldn't be touched.
Untouchable.
And, you know, to that, you know, to talk about Phil, even last year when he was competing against Big Ramy, I mean, if he would have come in as peeled and sharp as he had in years past, I don't know that Ramy would have beat him.
I don't think he would have.
I don't think he would have either, because there's that sharpness that comes into just when you're like crisp and you're full but super dry. And it's such a, like, you almost can't compete with that combo. And some guys will nail it for a show, but guys like Phil had nailed that for like several years on end.
Yeah.
You
well,
know,
because what's Phil, 7-time? 8-time?
5. No, 5 or 6.
Of Olympia?
I think he's 6 or 7. Yeah, because if he wins again, I think
he's retired.
Well,
there's
he's
no way.
Right,
yeah,
but if he would have,
he's retired now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
let's see what the Google has to say.
But it's hard because he had
7-time Mr. Olympia.
7.
Yeah.
He had that abdominal surgery. And
and
that's why he can't control his midsection as well. Part of it's numb.
Yeah.
So there's no way for you to come back and compete at that caliber,
right?
When all these other guys don't have that problem,
right?
You know?
And that was his big issue, really. What kind of was forcing him, you know, out of winning that Olympia is, you know, everything else was still, you know, looked great, but that midsection just over time just kept getting more and more distended, which sucks. You hate to see somebody go out like that, but I mean, shoot, man, look at Coleman. I mean, that dude was an absolute I mean, everybody knows who Ronnie is.
Yeah, you know that.
I mean, just an absolute titan. And then, you know, on his way out, I mean, you saw him early in his career, sharp, just absolutely sharp. You know, and he tells the story about the first time that he, you know, competed and I think won the Olympia. He actually ate pizza, I think, and like drank a beer the night before.
What?
Because it was one of the other like senior competitors. I can't remember who it was.
Oh, I remember hearing this story. I don't remember.
Yeah. One of the competitors he was competing against, it was like Kevin Lebroni or one of those guys. Was like, dude, just go eat this pizza and drink a beer, like enjoy yourself and de-stress the night before the show. Basically, you don't have a shot, so just go and go and eat this. Like it's fine. And he ate that, and he ate like a whole pizza and drank like a couple beers, and it filled him out, and he went and won. His first Olympia in like '98.
I think it might be on that Netflix doc.
It might be, but I distinctly remember that story. But you watch him throughout his career, and he's just sharp, hard as nails, that crisp, full, you know, look. And then over the years, that crisp, full look just started kind of going away.
I feel like it's hard to get that crisp look as you put on more and more tissue.
I think so, and I think your receptors are kind of getting worn at that point. Like you become a little bit insulin resistant and different things like that. Like there's some definite, you know, physiological barriers that you're going to run into, whether it be, you know, whatever drug cocktail you're taking, or even for that matter, just wear and tear on your body. If, you know, even as a natural, like over time, wear and tear on your body, like you're just not going to, like, being in a prolonged deficit, like stuff just stops working as well, right? You need to recover. But you know, one of the most amazing guys in that respect is Jay Cutler, because you look at him, you know, he kind of had that. He competing against Ronnie, you know, and then Ronnie was done, Jay was winning, and then he he got beat by Dexter because he just came in a little off.
Yep.
And I can't remember, I totally talked to him about this, but he came in a little off at that show, just enough for them to kind of punish him and give Dexter the win, basically, you know. And the next year, holy Toledo, nobody had seen anything like it.
Yeah,
it was like
that famous like quad stomp picture,
that 09 Olympia.
Was that from that one?
Everything striated.
So we have a signed big signed poster of a magazine cover of him doing the quad stomp, and it was just like, jeez, like it's insane.
That's wild. We'll put that picture up there too, because that
came on just super hard and dry, and just, dude, I remember watching that Olympia. Did you watch that live?
I don't think I was quite into bodybuilding as heavy at that point, because I would have been 18, and so I hadn't quite gotten like so far into the sport yet.
That was my first year competing.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was like, I was like into it. You know what I mean? I was all over the bodybuilding.com, like just reading all the forums. Oh yeah, the quad stuff.
Insane.
But yeah, and so I was like, of course, super into it that year, and it was just like, what? It's amazing, you know. And I knew very little about anything for that matter. But
I mean, this is just speaking like, and he's like one of the only white guys that wins the Olympia. Because the rest of them like are just black guys, and they look better. I mean, that's one of the scariest things being backstage. It's like competing against like the round, full muscle bellies.
Oh yeah.
And you're just like, man.
Like, man, I got the genetic shaft.
Yeah. White guys were not made for this.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just, it really, bodybuilding has a lot to do with that, you know, just classic round muscle belly shape, you know, like you look at like a guy like Arnold, and dude, you know who's like the quintessential shape of bodybuilding is Serge Nubret, you know, the guy that's the French guy in Pumping Iron with Arnold, the black guy.
Oh yeah.
That dude has the roundest, fullest muscle bellies you'll ever see in your life. It is insane. And so, I mean, you look at guys like that and you're like, oh man, he doesn't even have to be hard. He's still going to kick my ass. Like, you know what I mean? But at the same time, you know, that was at your last show. I mean, you were competing against, what the Teddy, yeah.
Teddy and Michael Spencer.
Yep. Oh, yeah, that's
those were the two guys that turned pro the next year.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And we need to get Michael Spencer on the podcast at some point. He's a great dude up in Washington.
Super cool.
But and then Teddy. What's Teddy's last name? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Oh man, sorry, Teddy. You're a great dude. But I can't remember your last name right now. But anyway.
There's actually a funny story. Teddy hired my coach at the time the day after that show.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. You're like, this guy beat me. I need the secret information for sure. Yeah. But that's why going back to what we were talking about with the Arnold, like who's going to show up in shape. He who shows up in shape wins. Yeah. And that day you were by far and away the most shredded guy on stage, and that is why you won.
Yes.
You know.
We're talking about this guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's his last name? Teddy Gray.
Gray. That's right.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, Teddy. Corrected it.
Yep.
But yeah. Anyway, that's definitely why you won. Because you know you were on par with size. You know, you have good shape. You know, even if they have better shape, but you just, I mean. The discrepancy between your conditioning and theirs was like such a stark contrast.
Yeah.
It was like, that you can't really compete with that. So, you know, bodybuilding, for those of you who don't like actively follow bodybuilding, you know, should be judging criteria broken up into 3 parts: size, shape, which shape and symmetry kind of go hand in hand, and then conditioning, or you know, how that basically you're looking at the definition of each muscle group, right? And so those things, you know, you should try and equally yoke those 3 to get the right combination. And then that's essentially what judges are judging on.
That's wild.
Yeah, I actually got marked down at that show for my legs being too lean. That's what the judges told me.
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous.
I think that's ridiculous.
I don't necessarily want to get into my opinion on when judges say somebody is too good. But that's what you call a cop-out. So if you're a judge listening to this and you ever tell somebody that they're too good in some way for something, you need to reevaluate your life.
Yeah.
That's BS.
It's bad.
It's bad.
There's no reason for that.
You can tell somebody that they don't fit the criteria for X reason. For example, if we have a bikini competitor, this is very common. If we have a bikini competitor and she's too grainy, too vascular, too hard, too big, you can say, you're a little bit too muscular and too conditioned for this division, right?
Yep.
Now, when you can't say that is when a girl that is bigger and harder than her also won another division or beat her in a division. And you'd be like, what? That's confusing, right? So, you better look across the board and say that everybody that won was consistently judged, right? Yep. You don't just want to single somebody out and just because they didn't place well and be like, well, I don't really know what to tell them, but you're too big and too hard, right?
Right.
Cop out would be like,
Now, bodybuilding is like the ultimate extremes, right? So you can't say somebody is too hard or too big. You could say they're too soft or not lean enough, but that's not to the extreme. You could say you have an imbalance of, development from top to bottom or bottom to top, whatever, right? Your legs are too small for your upper body. Your upper body's too small for your legs. But, you're not going to say like, oh, like the curtains didn't match the drapes. It's like that with legs being too lean, like that just doesn't make sense because nobody's legs get that condition, like too lean. Like it just doesn't happen. Because if your legs are too lean, your upper body's too lean, and there's no too lean about bodybuilding. Nope. What the appropriate thing to say is your upper body was too soft. Not your legs are too, like if you felt like genuinely like your upper body's soft and your lower body's hard, which, dude, don't ask me what somebody would do to achieve that because
apparently I did.
I've never seen it.
You've done it.
I mean, so what that could be is if say a judge noticed, hey, your legs are too hard for your upper body, like you want to even them out or whatever, like there's a discrepancy in conditioning. That's not a discrepancy in conditioning because it does not work like that unless you lose body fat like nobody else I've ever laid eyes on. What that was is you were a little bit too flat, you were a little bit too depleted, and your upper body didn't fill out enough to expand that muscle tissue to stretch the skin and to stretch that fluid out. So, and your legs don't have that problem with fullness. A lot of guys, like their legs, when they get flat or when they are flat and they lack muscle glycogen, their legs get extremely grainy and hard, like you. And so that would be a sign that, you kind of paid the price to get that grainy and hard. You didn't fill your upper body out as much as you could have, and so you didn't have that pop and that very crisp full look in your upper body, because being fuller will make you look leaner for sure. So his upper body could have been a little bit flat, which I would concur with, but that's the thing, you got to take judges' feedback with a grain of salt. So if somebody tells him, hey, your legs are too hard, that, first of all, that should never be said ever to a bodybuilder. That's just dumb.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it's pretty
just
funny.
Laugh them off and walk away.
But what you translate that to is, oh, I was probably flat in my upper body, because you're not going to be hard as nails in your legs and spilled over and soft in your upper half.
No.
That also does not exist, right? That does not physiologically happen. So it has to be, what we kind of just mentioned.
When I think the other part to realize, because I looked at my scorecard, because every competitor gets their scorecard at the end, and it'll tell you like what your judging was.
Right.
So on the lineup, I started in the middle and I never moved from the middle. And the two judges on the very end placed me 4th.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. But I don't know if that's because they only ever had, such an angle at me. So yeah,
that's a big jump from 1st to 4th.
So judging, I mean, they should really move everyone around to give the judges a full look at everyone.
Yeah, so the judging is a little bit different depending on, the federation. The NPC, I do prefer how the NPC does it, but the thing is, that was a newer show in this area at the time. That was only the second year, third year. Second or third year that they had that show here. The Craigs, who we've had on this podcast.
Great people.
Awesome people. Love their shows. They do a great job. But, with newer shows like that, maybe the judges that they had judging at that time were, newer judges or something like that, because the show wasn't as established. I don't know. Maybe we could ask them. We could ask them.
It's not a big deal.
We could ask them.
It's really not a big deal. Honestly, it's not. But whatever the case may be, I do like the way the judging happens, how they score. And so the head judge, basically the person in front and center with the microphone, they switch everybody around the way that they see fit. And they'll typically put the people that they have first, second, third in the center and then right next to center.
Yep.
And then people argue about what's the third place position and the second place position, like a certain side. I don't know that always occurs, but can. And then, it's basically as you go further out on the lineup, your placings get further out.
Yep.
So that way there's consistency with judging, right? So the judges kind of know that's kind of the way the head judge sees it. And what that does is that helps them focus their attention on those top people. So it's almost like the head judge picks the top 5, and then each judge kind of shuffles them how they see the judging in their head. But most judges typically see pretty eye to eye. It's not very common that you see a 1 and a 4. It's really not. It's kind of weird. But in a lot of the natural federations, for example, the show I just went down to in Arizona, they shuffle people around like crazy.
And they just leave them up there posing forever.
Yep. And it's like you cannot tell where somebody is, like what the judges are. You can judge for you based off the criteria and say, okay, this is where I would put this person, right? But there's really no inkling as to what the judges really think. I mean, it's obvious a lot of times who's going to win in first, second, but not always. Like, it can be pretty tight. You literally don't know what they're thinking. Whereas an NPC show, you're like, oh, okay, that's the top group. They're looking at these for the top 3. So you can kind of, when people ask me, like, what did I place? I'll be able to say, okay, worst case scenario this, best case scenario this.
Yep.
Usually give them a range of 1st through 3rd, or 2nd through 4th, or 3rd or 4th, or whatever. You kind of know within a placing or so,
right,
what people place. Whereas a lot of the drug tested feds, they'll like shuffle people around, and it kind of drives me nuts because it takes forever. They judge forever, and it's like, man, I understand, because as an athlete it's really nice to have that time on stage, but it's just, oh man, watching them. And I'm even a student of the game, like I like watching bodybuilding shows. Like, I'm one of those few people that'll actually go to the bodybuilding show to watch. Not just my people,
right,
or the people that I know, but I'll just go and watch because I like judging, and I like just looking at different physiques and how different people present and who's who, and all that stuff. Love it. love it. But man, when I've taken like literally 10 videos of them going through rounds, it's like, this is way too long. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just not. Yeah.
My phone memory's out. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's nuts. Yeah. I mean, it makes for a lot of good pictures, I guess.
Sure.
A lot of good videos. Gives you a lot of good practice on stage. You're also smoked though, afterwards.
Just
Posing on stage is one of the hardest things.
Oh, dude. You're like squeezing everything extra hard.
Yeah.
You know?
Hopefully the adrenaline takes you through.
Well,
Dude, after you get off stage and like your lungs are burning, like you feel like you just ran a mile.
Oh yeah.
And it's rough.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go to some of our good old powerlifting podcast questions that we like to ask. If somebody's struggling or stuck, what words of wisdom would you give them?
Oh man. For people who don't know me here, like I've had one heck of a year with injuries, setbacks.
It's true. Been through the ringer a bit this year.
I dislocated my knee. I cracked my femur. I cracked this.
Kind of a funny
I cracked
story,
this
but-
rib.
Oh.
I strained this pec. I tore my right adductor. All within this last year. So
speaking from experience,
I've been one of these struggling people. And really, it's just figuring out your why. Like, why are you doing this? If you can figure out why, what's your driving force behind this, then you can have the motivation to keep going. And it's just being consistent. I mean, I finally got my leg checked out. Do you want to hear this story?
Oh yeah, yes, sir.
So I send in check-in videos to my coach every week with my posing and stuff. And this was back like November of 2020.
Yeah, last year.
And I was looking like my best I've looked in years. And so I was like, man, this video is going to look great. So I do all my poses and I save my back poses for last. And for those that don't know, like bodybuilding back poses, you kind of extend one leg back and you twist your knees out to make your waist look smaller. And I was like, man, I'm gonna like really hit this pose. So I'm doing my back double by and I'm twisting my knees out, and all of a sudden my right knee just pops out.
And he ate it, bro.
I did. I like went right to the ground.
Oh yeah. It was a great video.
Yeah, I sent it to Eric.
Yeah, circulated around.
Oh
yeah. And so that was kind of the start of my like downfall. But luckily I sent the video also to Caleb Redden, and he's great, amazing doctor. He was like, man, come to my clinic like tomorrow. And so I did. And then I didn't get the MRI as soon as he said I should have, because it kind of started feeling better. But then I ended up tearing my adductor, and then that made my knee feel worse. So I was like, dude, we need to get this MRI done. And he's like, okay. And then
follow Caleb's advice.
Yeah, right.
People.
Yeah. And then so I'm working at the prison one day, and I don't get cell service in there, so I just get like a random voicemail from him, and he's just like, hey man, yeah, this is just so weird. And he's just like keeps going on about how weird this is, and I'm like, can you just like tell me what's wrong with my leg? He's like, yeah, you have a fracture in your femur. I'm like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I had no pain walking around, but doing leg exercises was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So then he didn't want me to train legs for 12 weeks.
12 weeks of no legs.
So, I mean, here's the thing is either you take that news and you go, well, screw it, I'm just going to give up now, and I'm going to eat like crap, and I'm not going to go to the gym. Or you go, man, this is what it is. I can still train upper body.
Yep.
So I'm going to have a lot of upper body days.
Yep.
I can still kind of train calves, so we all need to train our calves more.
That's right.
Amen
to that.
So
Amen.
It's just staying consistent, and you can make two choices. You either be the victim or you turn it around and you just work through it.
Yeah.
It really comes down to the dedication of your why. Like, I wanted to still come back and compete, so I can't just sit at my house and do nothing and eat cupcakes all day. Like I was still eating my meals. I was still coming to the gym. I never stopped. Laura was very adamant that I not train legs, so
she kept
Mama Laura's watching.
She yelled at me a couple times. But you just do what you can.
Yeah.
Even if it's not, the best scenario, you just keep going. And that comes down to one thing. So I have 2 points real quick. One, just because someone has a coach doesn't mean they don't know what they're doing. I have a coach because I would self-sabotage myself. If I felt like I was getting too fluffy, I would cut my carbs. If I felt like I was skinny, I'd be like, man, I need a pizza. I need someone to keep me consistently going in the right direction. Because it's very hard to look at yourself
objectively.
100%. So
I would never fault somebody for having a coach, just FYI. People that have coaches, like, guiding them, leading them, it doesn't mean that they don't know what they're doing. It just means that they don't want to think about themselves, flat out. And I've coached myself through pretty much all of my contests, except for the first 3 or 4 out of 20. And I can honestly say that it is a horrific mess of a kind of a mind game going into it, because you lose your objective lens. Like, there's no doubt about it. You absolutely lose your objective lens. So like, when I do compete again, like, I will probably hire somebody to like, I mean, I won't need to hire somebody for like the entirety of it. I'll set things up to where I can just kind of do what I need to do and not think for the last probably 3 months or so. I've got a few friends, I've got a few people here. I mean, I've got a lot of different options that I could do, whether I want to do somebody in-house here or support one of my other friends that are qualified coaches and say, hey, help me finish this off. Like, I just flat out, you just don't want to think about it, because you do. You ruin it. I mean, you actually ruin the experience more than anything.
Stress.
You stress, and it's just not fun. So give it to somebody that you trust. And obviously it needs to be somebody that is going to do a good job.
Sure.
And they need to, like, obviously
have some credentials.
Yes. Yeah. Like
some experience.
Like, I would not just hire anybody. Right.
You wouldn't hire me. I'll tell you that much.
I would hire you, Hunter.
You hire
your diet
me
would be fantastic.
Yeah. I would be so happy.
There we go.
But yeah, I just wanted to kind of add my 2 cents there. Just because somebody has a coach does not mean that they don't know what they're doing. It means that they don't want to think about themselves 24/7. Flat out. I don't want to look at pictures. And to be honest, like, I wouldn't take pictures of myself. If I was coaching myself, dude, I would not be taking progress photos. Like, no way. I don't want to do that,
rough.
So, and then have to sit there and look at them, and like, dude, it's worth the money to have somebody else look at all your stuff and just tell you what to do.
I think it's a sign of humility / like a real champion's mindset that because you will do better if you're not in your own head
all the
sure. time. So like, it's just a way of doing it. Like, that's a sign of intelligence rather than not.
All these top IFBB pros who are usually coaches in their downtime have coaches. So if like a top Olympian needs a coach, why could not an amateur need one?
Sure.
And then the other thing I was going to say is something my coach has kind of instilled in me, because I can be somewhat of a perfectionist. And if I fall short of that, like, almost go deeper into self-sabotage, is like, you can't strive for perfection every day, because you're not going to reach it. So he's always like, man, if you just stay 90% every day, that's better than 100% for a couple days, and then 50% for the rest of the week.
Oh, for sure.
So if everyone could just try to stay, like, if you go over your macros a little bit one day, it is not a big deal. Do not do an hour of cardio the next day.
Right.
Do not try to starve yourself. Then move on. It's not a big deal. Just try to keep that 90% every day.
Yeah. I had a client this morning put in her journal that she's like, oh, I totally messed up my high day. I went too high, so now I'm only doing X amount of carbs today. And luckily, I am watching her very closely right now. And so I checked in on what she was putting in her journal, and I was like, what? She's like, it went too high. And so I checked. She went 20 carbs over.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Which is like, she was supposed to have 200. She had like 220 or something like that. And I was like, dude,
this ain't a big deal.
that is, you ate an extra banana. Okay. Like, you're not going to cut your carbs by like 100 lower than you were supposed to do the next day to compensate for the 20 extra. If anything, for math's sake, you would just subtract 20 from the next day, right? Not like, I screwed up. It's over. I'm not gonna,
If you need me, I'm on the Stairmaster for 12 hours.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, a client should then come to you and be like, hey, this is what happened.
Right.
What should I do moving forward? And then you'd be like, hey, it's not that big of a deal. Either we're just going to go right with the plan, or like you said, like if you're going to do the math correctly, take 20 from your next day.
And to be honest, she was so depleted. I was just like, no, you're going to do all of your carbs today as well.
Yeah.
You went over by 80 calories. It's not the end of the world, dude.
Yeah.
And like, plus she put in there, like, I walked around extra late. And I'm like, oh man, I love you type A people, but you just chill. But that kind of reminds me of what Dr. Noonan says. And Dr. Noonan was what episode? Like, he was early on, wasn't he?
8? Maybe?
Yeah, something like that. I can't. We're on high numbers now on this podcast.
Well, you're number 30 here, Garrett.
Ooh,
Oh, dirty 30.
We should have done something fun.
Yeah. But Dr. Noonan said, just 1% better every day. Try and do better than you did yesterday, today. It doesn't have to be perfection, 1% better, but I mean, yeah, if you're batting 90%, man, every day, and you can maintain that over time, like that's pretty money.
Well, I was wrong. Sorry, number 13 for those listening. Go check that out. Oh, that was a really good one. Number 13. Yep.
Yeah, but no, I totally subscribe to that. I think that's great advice. So we're gonna get into some of my favorite questions. Top 3 books. Are you a reader?
I am not much of a reader.
All right.
I learn much better. I usually have podcasts going on when I'm doing stuff.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being on a podcast.
Yes. Is this your first podcast?
Yeah.
Woo!
Yes.
Popped his podcast cherry. There we go.
Great one to start out with.
Great analogy.
I do really enjoy one book, and it's called The Daily Stoic. And it's basically you just read one page a day, and it's just kind of the message is different every day. And like throughout the book, it goes through different themes. And it's all about stoicism and basically like controlling you.
Yeah.
Like not letting your environment change you or control your emotions and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool. I've seen a lot of quotes from that, actually.
So I do enjoy that book because that's something I deal with sometimes, is a little bit of self-sabotage and letting my environment control me instead of me controlling myself. So that's something I try to work on.
Yeah, sweet. Very good. Top 2 movies.
Man, top 2 movies. Man, with movies nowadays, I don't know if it's because of what's happening in the world, but I almost don't enjoy real life movies anymore, like real action movies, because it's like it can all be so real now because of how crazy everything is.
It has. It has kind of gotten to that point. It's nuts.
So, I mean, I definitely enjoy, like, Venom is one of my favorite movies, actually.
Old Tom Hardy action.
Yep, because it's funny. It is action, but it's, I mean, obviously not believable at all.
Right.
So that I'm actually very excited for the second one coming out soon.
Oh, does it?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh man.
Carnage.
I think it's
Speaking of
I think
which,
it's next month.
Bond, you guys, comes out
one.
on the 7th. There's the first showing on the 7th. We're legit gonna have a Mecca movie night at the Village.
We should
on the 7th. If I'm back from hunting, it's going down.
It's going down.
Yep. Bond. Anyway.
No Time to Die.
No Time to Die. So Venom's a top pick. What other? Give us another top pick for you.
I don't want to pick another like Marvel type movie. I do love all the Marvel movies.
I mean, what's not to love?
I'm more of a Marvel than DC movie fan.
Yeah.
Because I think they're just better produced.
Yeah. I am a big Man of Steel fan, though. I can't lie.
Man of
Are
Steel.
you?
Yeah.
Did you like the newer one though?
Which one?
With
Batman versus
Henry.
Superman.
Yeah.
Well, so Henry Cavill, yeah, he's in the actual Man of Steel. So that's the first one that he was in and then he was in like Batman versus Superman, and then what's the other one? The group of them.
Justice League.
Justice League,
Thank you.
right?
Yeah, I was thinking Suicide Squad. I was like, oh, those are the other guys.
Yeah,
The bad guys.
yeah. Man of Steel. I actually really like that movie.
That one
movie's
was good.
Badass.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was.
But you're more of a Marvel guy, which is cool. I'm total Marvel guy.
I tried to watch Batman vs Superman right after I got sick in 2016, but the doctor had given me Norcos because like it was very painful, and I tried to watch it for like a week straight, and I just fell asleep every time.
Oh no!
I couldn't do it. I just like.
Oh no!
I even bought it like to watch it.
Oh,
And I
wow.
just
At least you
fell
didn't
asleep.
rent it day in and then
know.
the next day.
I can't do the Batman versus Superman because that's just ridiculous to me. Like Batman's not even in the same league.
No.
Right.
So-
I didn't get it.
I think that's ridiculous. But are you a comedy watcher at all?
Oh, comedy's rough for me. I like dry comedy. So like Horrible Bosses. What's that guy's name? Jason Bateman. Things that he's in, I enjoy. I struggle, and I'm gonna get some hate for this, but Will Ferrell movies sometimes like are just not my jam because it's just like
They're silly, man.
so dumb.
I'm
just like, what am I watching?
You
right
got to
now?
be in the right mood. You know what I mean?
It's its own deal.
Like I'm more of a Chris Farley than a Will Ferrell guy.
Yes.
You know?
I mean, yeah. I don't even know how to describe Will Ferrell stuff versus Chris Farley. Like that, I could do Chris Farley, but like,
dude, like a little Black Sheep action or Tommy Boy.
Tommy Boy,
yes.
Tommy Boy is by far and above
Yes.
the best comedy of all time. I'm just gonna put that out.
I would
there.
agree with that.
But
Fantastic.
anyway, yeah, no, I can see that. I do like Will Ferrell stuff, but there have been times where I'm like, can't do it. What about The Hangover? Were you a fan of that?
I mean, I've watched them all. The first one was good.
Okay, the first. Well, I'm not talking about number 2 or 3. I don't even know what
number
they're up to
one was
now.
good.
Number
and
one.
very, very entertaining.
Yeah.
After that, you just can't replicate something that good.
No.
And make it better.
No.
So the original, great.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree. I can't. I watched the second one. I know for a fact because I just remember it because it opens up with like Mr. Chow or whatever, and there's like a monkey or something flicking his dick.
Yeah.
It's like it looks like a mushroom, like a little mushroom or something, and you're just like, what is that?
Yes.
What just happened?
Right.
I'm ruined. Anyway, yeah, The Hangover. It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Top gym song or band currently?
I've been on a kick of Our Last Night.
I don't even know who that is.
They do a bunch of remakes of like popular hip hop songs,
Really?
and they make it into like hard rock / screamo songs.
Wait, what was it called?
Okay.
Our Last Night.
Our Last Night. I
Like OUR, Our Last Night?
Yes.
Did you find them on the gram? That's how I found those on the gram. I just followed them too.
Okay.
Like their Astronaut in the
Artist.
Ocean one
Is really good.
sick.
Okay, here we go.
Don't get banned off YouTube for playing music.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I forgot about that.
No, it'll be fine. We haven't yet. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
What you know about rolling down in the deep?
I'm interested.
Yeah.
It's good.
I definitely have to have something heavier. Like I can't like. Something has to have a strong beat. A little bit of screaming helps me. You know, I got to have something that amps me up.
For those, oh, dude, that is a great t-shirt idea. A little bit of screaming helps me.
Yeah.
I would say a little bit of anger helps me.
That too.
For sure.
Yep. It helps you get that dark mindset.
Yeah, that's just pretty funny because for those of you that don't know Garrett, he is like the calmest, like very well mannered, like you know, you won't really catch him on like if he's having a bad day, he's quiet. He's not like ever a jerk to anyone, you know. So just to hear him say a little bit of screaming helps us.
Gets me in that dark place.
That's awesome.
That's great.
But just because he doesn't scream at people doesn't mean he doesn't train hard. But let that be known. You don't have to be a screamer to train hard.
So true. And that's, we won't get on that topic.
Yeah, no, not at all. Oh, man, I lost my note. Shoot. Here we go. Okay. Preferred training style or exercise method mode. I think we all know the answer to this, but let's talk about body parts. What's your favorite body part to train?
Man, back when you met me, it would have been legs because like I was very strong with legs. Since then, I've just had injuries, so they're not my favorite right now. I have to be very careful. Right now, I really enjoy back, even though it's a struggling muscle part for me. Me and my training partner Clint have just come up with these certain exercises that just really light us up, and it's a hard day. Some bodybuilders hate arms. I love triceps. I absolutely love triceps.
I
freaking hate biceps.
I could do without biceps.
Yeah.
Sure. My friends always hated training with me because it was like an hour and a half of triceps and then 20 minutes of biceps.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, done. Let's get this over with.
But it's interesting. Training philosophies have grown so much since I started. When I got into bodybuilding, it was always there's another podcast that calls this the pro split instead of the bro split. But chest one day, shoulders one day, back one, and that's how I love to train. And when people ask me what's the best way to train, it's whatever you enjoy.
For sure, what you're gonna stick to.
Yeah.
And you can micromanage, and obviously like if you're training for strength or whatever, but like long-term trajectory, whatever is gonna allow you to maximize intensity and stay consistent. Maximize intensity, stay consistent. I mean, you can get into the weeds talking about training. I mean, and I'm like a major programming nerd and all that stuff. And like programming's great, but like the whole idea behind programming is keeping somebody engaged, keeping somebody progressing, and getting through plateaus. But
and for me, like training one muscle part a day, like I can tax that muscle like no other. Like I want to walk out feeling like I can't feel it anymore. That's what like. And I know you program a lot of people where they do multiple body parts a day. Like I don't think it would work for me because I wouldn't feel that annihilated feeling.
It's just different, and your development would change. I think both training styles actually benefit people, and oftentimes have people go through different training blocks where one training period we are undulating a little bit more, we're switching tons of different body parts per day, and then there's some training blocks where just depending on the person that it is like very much so one, maybe two muscle groups.
Well, that's what I have a guy getting ready for the November show here, and he just needs more work on certain muscles. So I have him hitting them 2 to 3 times a week.
Exactly.
So it's different than what I do. I don't think there's one way to reach your potential.
Right. And that's the thing, like we could sit here and talk about like, what we feel like is like might be optimal, but you really don't know until you've tried. Like that's the thing. Like I mean, I've done pretty much everything you can possibly think of that I could think of for sure. And then a lot of what other like I've taken pages out of everybody's playbook for sure. Like Dorian Yates, Hanny Rambod, the FST7 stuff, blood flow restriction training. I mean, things that we incorporate elements of DTP training, Chris Gethin. I've talked to Chris a lot and learned a lot from him early on, just in videos that he did this is years and years and years ago. You know, just looking at different people's training methodologies and things like that. And I've literally done everything you can think of, down to even the powerlifting stuff. But, you know, that's why it's important as a coach to have that experience and to be open-minded about it, you know. And to be honest, like, probably 50% of the time, I do train pretty much like you train.
Like a bro.
Like a bro.
Like a bro.
And you know why? It's because I love it.
Yep.
I freaking love bro training. It's the
feels
best.
phenomenal.
Yes.
It does. It does.
Oh, it's the best.
I love that too.
But yeah, I totally agree with you. But, you know, there's definitely, I've seen a lot of success and development of lagging body parts from doing, you know, more undulated training and doing more of the programming like I have a lot of my clients do. It's just, you know, you take Kaylee as a good example, trying to, you know, grow glutes, like, got to be creative. You know, we've worked them once a week, we've worked them 6 times a week, you know. And a lot of what that comes down to is your ability to get stimulation and optimal engagement. And I think the reason why, like, bro style training has a lot of merit is because you're just focused neurologically on that one area. You're able to work it, you get blood into that area, and it makes you able to feel that muscle group much better.
Right.
And so you're able to get better engagement and better stimulation. You know, it really just comes down to maybe not doing too much. And when I train one body part, that's probably my downfall. I don't know about you, but I will overcook it bad.
Depends.
Can you really overcook it? Yes. The answer
Yes, you
is
can.
Can
yes,
you train
can.
triceps too much?
Nah.
Debatable.
Yeah.
Not triceps. Everything else is fine.
Well, actually, what I notice with training triceps too much, and you can throw your 2 cents on this as well, but I will get some gnarly tendonitis in my distal triceps tendon. Oh yeah, if I train my triceps too much, because then you add in the fact that I'm doing pressing movements with shoulders, I'm doing pressing movement with chest, then I'm doing a lot of elbow extension work, tricep day. That's a butt load of tension on that triceps tendon. So I will, man.
For me, that comes to exercise selection for triceps. For me, I have to find ways that my joints are in line better. So you guys have seen me use my green prime handles.
Prime handles, yeah.
I love those because it allows my arms to move in the direction they need to, instead of forcing my hands onto a bar, and then maybe my elbows are flared out a little bit because my hands have to be so close.
Right.
So, and then it's not like, I used to do a lot of incline skull crushers, and generally they feel okay for me, but sometimes those will flare up my elbows.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm forcing my joints into an unnatural position for them.
Right.
So it's really come down to the exercise selection of how to keep my joints healthy.
Yeah.
Getting creative with it. I see you guys getting creative. It's fun
for sure.
That's our lab out there. You know?
Yeah.
We're all just experiments.
It's, well, everybody's just their own
Aren't
lab
we all?
rat, right? Or somebody else's lab rat. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the one thing that I enjoy about working out with other people, you know, and we're all so stupid busy that kind of sucks, but like we're so lucky to have a group that all is like, we're all into the same stuff. It's like, dude,
when we all have different strengths, which is nice.
Like going on vacation with Zach and Laura was awesome. You know, like going to shows with people and stuff because, hey, we have free time. We're all going to the gym at the same time. Like, hey, let's go train. What do you want to train today? Like, this is gonna be fun.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like high school all over.
Tis a party. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like the prime handles, and a lot of people don't realize this. They're all out there like selecting, you know, every which handle for triceps, and you know, in terms of activating the triceps, the position of your hand really doesn't matter. Like because of the way that your tricep attaches on the bones of your lower arm, right? So like the people that are doing like the reverse grip, like palm up like that, like they think it engages differently, but it's really not. It's really about like what feels the best to you. Like you don't have to do that. It's so like with Garrett saying like he likes the prime handles. I think the prime handles are just absolute money. That's one of the reasons. Like just put your joints in a great position, but if you feel a particular something better, like get the most you can out of that, right? I mean, that's what it's all about, getting that good engagement. So, this is Hunter's question always. Who would play your character in a biography? Hunter's the man at deciding this.
Do you have an option for me?
Mine was a much more buff Chris Evans.
Oh, buff Chris Evans. Yeah. Oh, I could
A thicker Chris Evans would be mine.
Does it have to be an actor?
I guess not, but we would just...
Typically, we try and pick somebody kind of famous.
Yeah.
Regan Grimes and I used to look very similar.
I could see that.
Who's that?
Look, he's going to be in the Olympia actually this year.
Oh, really?
Regan Grimes. We looked very similar when he was smaller. now
you definitely you have the
now
same...
he's way too big.
Now he's way too big?
Oh, yeah. Dude's monstrous.
Yeah, I see that a lot. Actually. Well, the haircut and the face shape.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
We look similar, but he's just way bigger than me.
I was going to say, you look similar, but he's way smaller than you.
Yeah, I wish. Then I would just get paid to work out like he does.
Well, some people are
That's
living the
goal.
dream.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see
Not
that.
Chris Hemsworth? Chris Evans?
Chris Evans. Have you gotten Chris Hemsworth too?
Chris
No,
Hemsworth is too blonde.
Too blonde.
I was beach blonde like when I was younger.
Oh, were you?
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then my hair's like brown now.
That's
Yeah.
funny. My dad had really blonde hair, and then his went like black.
Oh, wow.
Crazy.
Yours isn't going black.
No, I'm sticking to where I'm at, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go top 2 role models and influences in your life.
So, just because the field that I'm in, Jay Cutler is one of those.
Shout out to Jay. We love Jay.
Yeah, I've met him a couple times, which has been super cool each time. Not only was he just a crazy good bodybuilder, he was also a crazy smart businessman.
Still is.
Yeah.
Still right.
I don't know if I asked him this when he was here last, but I had heard at one point every time he won an Olympia, he would buy property with his winnings.
Yes. Yeah, actually, he and I talked about that. So this is an awesome story, and God willing, I will talk Jay into coming on our measly little powerlifting podcast one of these days.
Well, it's not always going to be measly.
Well,
I'm on it right now.
Anyway, so yeah, eventually I would of course love to get Jay on the podcast. He's one of the nicest guys ever, and one of the best bodybuilders of all time, obviously. So that doesn't hurt his clout. But yeah, I actually asked him about that, and one of the cool stories he told me was back when he was competing in the Arnold Classics. I think it was like 99, 2000, 2001, those 3 years in a row, I believe he won the Arnold Classic, and then he transitioned to just doing the Olympia to try and win the O. The first Arnold Classic he won, I believe, 99, he got to custom design and pick out the first production H2 Hummer, because they were giving out a Hummer when you won the Arnold Classic.
That's cool.
So yeah, the guy was like, hey, pick this out, like choose all your options and all that stuff. So of course he's like, sweet. So he got everything, Of course, he had won the Arnold Classic. He gets it delivered. He literally didn't even drive the thing, turned around, sold it for a bunch of money, and bought an income property, bought a rental property with it in Las Vegas.
Wow.
So yeah, you got like the coolest, newest, best, most bells and whistles truck out and around, and you're like, you know what? Now I'm gonna keep on keeping on where I'm at. I'm gonna turn that around, and I'm gonna put all the money I got from that down on buying a rental property. And now he's, you know, arguably the most successful, financially speaking, bodybuilder ever to walk the planet. I would guarantee that is the case. He's a baller, absolute baller. But he's like the most humble guy in every way possible. You know, he's not one to talk about, you know, I've got this or I've got that. Of course, I asked him about his opinion on cars, of course, because he definitely knows his stuff, but he's never going to be showy. As a matter of fact, just a good example of that is he drives like a you know, not even a Denali. It's like a Chevy Tahoe is like his daily driver. That he's like, yeah, I have a few super nice cars, but like I just prefer to drive that around because it's not flashy. It's just normal, you know. I'm like, dude, what?
Right on, man.
What a guy. Yeah. What a guy.
And he's also like one of the most involved retired pros in the industry.
Yeah.
And that's just something I would want for myself, is to find a way to be still relevant after I retire.
I mean, the guy's still going to little local shows and hanging, and
yeah, he's going to Idaho Falls.
Is he?
Very, like, really recent, like in the beginning of October, I believe.
Oh, what show's there?
I don't think it's a show. I think, gosh, what flyer did I see? He's going there with Brooke Ince.
Oh, yeah. I talked to him about this. Yeah. I can't remember exactly what it is.
I don't know if it's a supplement shop or something, like a meet and greet with her. But yeah, he's still traveling and doing his thing.
Yeah, what's funny is that we just went to that Sin City Showdown down in Vegas not too long ago, and I was, I didn't even message him or anything because I'm like, it's like, you know, we're just there for a couple days or whatever, and he like walked in the door, and I'm like, hey.
Oh, hey, Jay.
Small world.
Yeah.
I did not expect you to show up here. And he's like, oh, just come to say hi to everybody. And I'm like, dude, how cool is that? A Mr. O just like casually strolling into a local level NPC show. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's Jay. You know? The same with me. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Jay.
All of us would be like that.
So anyway.
It was cool. I worked for a supplement shop in Oregon, and he also owned what's called Mock Video. And they're the ones who produced all of the old bodybuilding DVDs.
Oh, cool.
And so I was helping my boss produce these. And so he took me to the 2014 Olympia, and I got to film backstage.
Oh, sweet.
And Jay actually came and talked to every competitor, asked them how they were doing. Like, he's just so involved and cares. Like, you can just tell, like, he's not just doing it for show. Like, he truly cares about the sport and the athletes.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right, my other one would be my dad. Him and I do not see eye to eye on many things, but I think it's because we're so alike in certain ways and then so not alike in other ways that it's the perfect clash. But that guy, like, his work ethic is crazy. They live in Wyoming, and when I go visit him, like, we'll go hiking sometimes, and he's kicking my tail the whole way up. And, like, I'm just sitting here like, hold on, I can't breathe. And
break.
That, and just, like, teaching yourself how to do anything. Like, we never hired people to fix our cars or, appliances. Like, he would look it up how to do it and then figure out how to do it, and then we would just do it. So that was really great, like, growing up, learning all these skills. You know, I also got yelled at for not holding the flashlight correctly a lot. But,
Classic.
You know, like the constant drifting flashlight. But, yeah, and I mean, he's a super successful guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so he's definitely someone I look up to, even though we struggle. But it's good because we challenge each other.
Yeah, I think that's good, though. I mean, I think a lot of people can relate to that. I mean, God bless my father. I don't see eye to eye with him on everything, though. You know what I mean? It's like, how you can't be expected to.
I do have to thank him for my genetics, though. He's the reason I have big legs.
There you go.
My mom is very much slender, and I'm much more stocky like my dad.
There you go.
So at least we have that.
That's important. Thanks, Dad. That was a big
Thanks,
one.
Dad.
The big legs.
Yeah, that's what we needed.
Yeah.
Well, excellent. Well, Garrett, we appreciate the heck out of you coming on. It's
Thanks
always
for
great.
having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. What else? Do you have any closing remarks to say to the people?
Actually, I have one quick story about this gym and reasons why you should check it out. So I had moved here in 2015, started prep January 2016, and it was Easter, and I was going to Axiom at the time, and they were closed for Easter. And so I was like, man, I really need to hit the gym because I'm in prep. So I'm like looking up gyms on Google. I'm like, oh, the Mecca Gym. I'm going to call them. So I call them. They're not open, but Casey answers the phone. And I'm like, hey, is there any chance I can come train? And she's like, if you're here within an hour, we'll let you come work out. So I came here, signed up the next day that I could. Because I was just like, these people get competing. They understand like what we need. It's a great gym and atmosphere. I was doing chest that day, and I specifically remember like benching on dumbbell benching on the benches we have. And I was like, man, these are the best benches I've ever laid on.
Yeah.
And so I was
nice
just
and wide.
sold. I'm gonna sign up here, and I've been a member ever since, and
awesome.
Employee now.
That's awesome.
So definitely a gym you want to come check out.
That's awesome.
Amen.
I actually remember that. We used to try and do that quite a bit, like holidays and stuff, because we'd like to come work out on holidays, but like we wouldn't like have any staff come in or anything like that. So we'd drag little 1-year-old, not even 1-year-old walker in here, and we'd be like tossing them back and forth, trying to lift
Between
answering
sets.
the phone and stuff.
Answering the phone. That's great.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, but
Humble beginnings.
No, we appreciate you. Garrett's an outstanding man, outstanding bodybuilder. He's an outstanding coach. Check him out. Follow him on the gram. Do all the likes and the shares and all that business. And we will catch you next week, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Power of Lifting podcast. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. For more content like this, follow Eric Cafferty and the Mecca Gym on all social media platforms.